two, one.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the Shore Community Podcast. I'm Lisa. I have a guest with me tonight, my guest host. This is Rick.
Hi.
Rick, welcome. Thanks for coming on and helping out. Tom is out tonight, so Rick's going to be filling in. Our guest tonight, very exciting, Lisa Kukoda. Lisa is a well-known figure in New Jersey high school basketball, particularly known for her role as the head coach of the Manasquan High School girls basketball team, girl sports rule. Yeah. She's built a remarkable reputation due to her success on the court and her ability to develop talented athletes. She's received recognition from the New Jersey basketball community for her outstanding contributions to the sport. Her reputation extends beyond wins and losses. Her coaching philosophy focuses on character building and leadership, which is a large part of her success. Wow, that's impressive. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
We understand that you're just coming off of an amazing season.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What can you tell us a little bit about what was your most memorable game or moment this season and why?
Yeah, absolutely. This year was such an interesting year for us because a lot of people on the outside of the team and the program really weren't quite sure what we were going to be. We had graduated 4 seniors, all who went on to play at the next level, and there were a lot of girls stepping into new roles on the floor for us. So it was a really exciting year for our coaching staff because we were excited just about getting these girls on the floor in their spots, right? And kind of getting them the spotlight a little bit. We knew what they were capable of. And we were just really excited for it to really kind of be their turn, their time to shine. And that, I think, really all came together in probably what I think the girls would say was the biggest moment of this season was our final regular season divisional game against St. Rose. We played at St. Rose. It was a packed gym, a really tough environment to play in there, if you're familiar with the St. Rose gym at all. So it was just a great game for us. The girls really went out and executed everything that we wanted them to. And just really put together this great game. And that game allowed us to be the outright divisional champions. And I think the girls really took pride in that because I think a lot of people kind of counted them out this year in that race. And they were, I think they had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder to win that game. And to put it all together in that game, I think was probably what they would say probably one of the better moments of the season.
I think they're really exciting to watch.
Yeah,
I love going to the games. It's great to see a packed gym. They're exciting to watch.
I feel like if you count them out, if someone counts you out, then you're going to work even harder to prove them wrong.
Absolutely.
And I think that's pretty cool that they actually were able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to ask you about your coaching philosophy. How do you, what are the things that you try to instill in your players?
Yeah, this is a really important part for me, right? Is my ability as a coach, especially at the high school level where you're coaching, young adults who are in this prime development phase, right? Where they're kind of starting to really figure out who they are, what they're about. I think that we have such an impactful role in their lives and in their development. And so for me, it's not just about what we're doing on the court and what's happening in practice and things like that. It's more about, I know I am who I am because of what sports taught me. And I know a lot of people say that, and I know it's like this, I don't know if it's a cliche or things like that, but I know a big part of my personality, and I think the person that I am now is because of the things that I went through and I learned through sports and the coaches that I had and the things that they taught me. So for us, it's in our program, it's all about kind of pushing through, right? Pushing through what you think might be obstacles, pushing through what, might be perceived from the outside, pushing through frustrations, things like that. I really believe that we can help kids, right, learn that because that's what life is about, right?
Right.
And I think that that's a big part of it. On top of that, and the girls hear me say it all the time, I really think that they are given a platform with their role in the community. And that platform is so important because, and I think it's a big part of our program's success, is that the girls who have been in it have understood their role in the community and understand that there are a lot of younger girls and little girls watching them.
Right.
And it's not just on the court, it's off the court, it's on the street, it's at the beach. They have this platform where they can really build and help inspire younger girls. And I think that it's their job to be a role model. And we really push that, and make sure that they're aware of that and the way that they compose themselves and hold themselves and communicate with girls. You see someone walking on the street or you see them at the park, and that could be a really big moment for a younger girl. They watch you on the court. They look up to you, and how you interact with them is going to go a really, really long way. And we make sure that they understand that, that they respect that, and that that they hold each other accountable in that as well. And
you do a great job with that. I mean, I can see that. You can see that in as they're interacting with the kids in the that are at the game. You've done a great job.
Yeah,
with that.
thank you.
That's not easy.
No, yeah, and I like to take a little bit of credit for that, but at the same time, I have great girls and great families in our program. Is part of that because they've seen what we've been about for the past 13 years, and they know that their daughter fits what we're trying to do, and they hold those same values. I think that can definitely be a big part of it. So we get really, really good girls and great families in our program who are all in. They are sacrificing a lot, to be able to wear Manasquan across their chest. And, we talk about that. It's a team first mentality in our program. We will help you achieve any individual accomplishment that you want to achieve, but it's always going to be within what we're trying to do together as a group. And as long as it aligns with what we're doing as a group, we're going to do everything we can to get you there. But, I think our girls really adopt that team first mentality. We're all in it together. We're here for the big goal. And I think that because they buy in, we're able to kind of put the product on the floor and get the results that we like.
I have a question, Lisa, if I can.
Of course.
By the way, I refer to you as the real Coach K. Like for those basketball fans out there, I would say Manasquan has the real Coach K. But I'm going to take you back. I think it was 2022. I remember being at the game, and you actually were coaching against your husband in one of the games. So I was trying to think, give me the lead up to that. Like, what does that week look like? Do you talk to one another? Is it like, and then bragging rights?
How fierce is the competition across the table?
You still have bragging rights, I guess, 3 years later.
Yeah.
But I was always wondering, like, how was it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was an interesting, turn of events that brought that about. And, when he and I first met, we were both fully immersed in the coaching world. He was coaching 3 sports, if not more. I was really involved in coaching basketball, and our lives have always been kind of like bouncing ideas off of each other in what we're thinking and how we want to approach things. And I have learned so much, from talking through things with him. He is the most knowledgeable person that, I am so comfortable with going to him about so many things that I'm thinking. Do you think this is going to work? How should I approach this situation? What are your thoughts on this? And he's just such a great sounding board. So in that week, it was a little bit interesting because it threw me off a little bit, But it was a great experience for our family. It was a unique situation for sure.
It was a fun game. Everybody was kind of into it. It was really fun.
And you know what? It was difficult because if Manasquan wasn't playing, I was always cheering for those girls. And, if they weren't playing, he was always cheering for our girls. So, we were just hoping that the girls all had a great game, that we were able to both put them in the position, to be able to pull out a win.
Yeah, it was nice. It was good to be a part of it.
I think you got to, if you're going to both be coaches, you got to have that opportunity at least once, right?
Yeah,
That makes
yeah.
it.
I mean, Lisa knows me. I'd still be bragging.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I mean, totally. You'd never hear the end of it if it was that way, for sure. And when you were talking about the girls, setting a good example and kind of being role models, what about within the team? Do the older players help to mentor the younger players when they come up the ranks?
Yeah, absolutely. What we talk about as our girls start to get older is that they're starting to leave their legacy, right? So as they're coming through and they're starting to establish themselves, it's about okay, so once you graduate, what are you going to leave, right? What's going to be here? And I do think that is a huge part of it, is that they help build the culture, right? They help enforce what we believe as coaches. So as younger girls come in, they're kind of thrown right into it. And I always like to ask. I have like exit meetings at the end of every season with the girls and talk through things. And I always like to ask the younger kids, their first time in the program, like, was it what you expected? Was it different than what you expected? And it's always a little bit mixed, but they almost always, it's the older ones really kind of helped me along and figured it out. It's some things it's a little bit more intense than they were anticipating. Some think were a little bit more fun than they thought it was going to be. But a recurring theme season to season is that the older group really helps develop that younger group.
Yeah, which is really cool for both the younger players and the older players, right? That's great experience for the older players as well.
Absolutely.
That carries them through.
It seems like they all fit in really. I mean, you had freshmen that played some big minutes this year, right?
Yeah.
And they all just seem to fit in, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that goes along with our, team first mentality. Next one up, when it's your turn, it's your turn. And we're all here for the same purpose. And I think that for them, again, we have girls who have the right mentality, and whether it's an older kid or a younger kid, I think that they all kind of understand that our coaches are going to make decisions based on what they feel is best for the program, and I think that everybody. I'm always so grateful that, our players and, parents and families, like they trust us with that. And, it is a big thing for girls. Like I said, it's a huge moment of development for them. And, they're all kind of working through and we help them get to where they want to be. And that's a big part of it for us.
That's great.
Yeah.
When you guys are leading up to a big game or a tough game, like you talked about, sometimes there's a tough crowd and you just know it's going to be intense. How do you prepare the team for that? Like, what do you do leading up to those games?
Yeah. So we do treat every game, very similarly, no matter who the opponent is going to be. We are big on preparation. So a lot of times as we're leading into big games, we'll break down film sessions. We'll talk about personnel. We'll talk about tendencies. We'll talk about things that the other team does really well, things that we need to really emphasize and do. We'll go through what an opponent does, things that we need to do, but it's really about, and what I tell the girls all the time, we can draw up whatever we want, right? We can put anything up on the board. We can have the best game plan, right? But we're not the ones on the court. Right. And sometimes the best game plan doesn't even matter if we're not doing all the little things. So when it comes down to it, we know in those big games that the little things are probably the most important things. Are you diving on the floor for the loose ball? Are you, securing every pass? Are you, doing every little thing that you can do on the floor to help the team? And if you're doing that and then we're executing the game plan and X's and O's, then we're putting ourselves in a really, really good position. So we always emphasize and value the little things throughout the course, and even more so in our biggest games.
Yeah, Coach, compliment to you. I watch, I sit right behind, like 5 rows back from where you are. I just, when you call timeout, there's never, like, even when your team is down, you never, like, have, like, this, you're very calm. and I just feel like they take that onto the court with them. Because even when you're behind, you take a timeout, you're very calm, you draw up, you make your point. We only get one timeout a game in hockey. I know you get a few more than we get, but I always feel like I'm yelling, screaming, trying to. But I've really taken that from you. Just like I'm trying to keep that one timeout, stay calm. Because the team just seems to go as you go.
Yeah,
like you're calm, and they go on the. They're behind and. I look up and then they're 6 up, 7 up. And...
I do have to say that was definitely, I think a growth process for me a little bit, some reflection at times, self-reflection.
Yeah, we've all played, right? We're all intense.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
And self-control too, right?
Yeah, for sure. And there actually was a moment last year where I did have a talk with one of our seniors from last year, and it was really impactful on me, where it was like, you kind of lost it a little bit, and we didn't really know what to do from there, and and I really was like, wow, like that resonated with me, and I was like, if they're not getting it, then there's no point in what I'm doing, right? So I kind of took a little step back and thought through a little bit of my approach on some things. Not to say that I was always, all over the place, but in those moments where they're frustrated, I'm frustrated, right? Everybody knows it's not going well, right? It's on me to kind of turn that around a little bit for them. And, and I appreciate you kind of taking the notice of it, because I do think I've put a little.
You're doing a good job.
I put a little extra emphasis on it this year.
We all learn. I'm sure at timeouts I watch people that I'm actually paying attention. Like I want to see I know you're drawing up different things than we would, but just how you go about it.
Yeah,
it's just very.
Thank you. I will say that the home setup with everybody sitting right behind you. I've got 8 and 9-year-olds sitting directly behind the bench.
We're a little further away than you are. Right.
Yeah. So, I also take that into consideration too.
That all makes sense.
You have to,
absolutely.
So yeah.
I mean, it's not all that much different in the business world either. We work as a team, right, in the company, and it's the same kind of thing. Sometimes things aren't going as planned, but you have to kind of stay calm, methodical, work through it. And so I think the lesson that you're teaching here really can apply to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
For your team this year, would you say there was something unique about this team compared to other years that really stands out for you?
Yeah, I think that this group this year, as I kind of said earlier, this was a group who was really waiting their turn, and overall, and when we talk about that team first mentality, these were talented players who just simply had talented players in classes ahead of them, and because of that, kind of had to wait their turn. We had juniors and seniors on the floor who were really, for the first time, getting like their quality minutes, on the floor, where now the minutes were substantially theirs. And I think, if anything, that really stands out about this group, is that, and that will always be something special to me, is that they were willing to wait their turn to simply be a part of what we were doing. And for 3 years, they kind of were on the back burner. And that was, a lot of what I said this year as we won down the stretch. It was that I was so happy to be able to send this group out, who really put in so much to our program and didn't get a lot of recognition for it. To be able to send them out with the championship, with it really kind of being theirs. They were a part of it in years past.
Sure. Right.
But everyone will always say, well, it was so-and-so's team, and it was, so-and-so's team. This was their team this year. And I think that was really, really special.
Yeah, they always seem very tight-knit, all your teams. That's good.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
It seems like you have a really positive team culture, but I'm sure from time to time you have to handle conflicts within the team or things that come up. How do you work through those things?
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, every single season you're going to deal with conflicts, especially when you're dealing with, 14, 15, 16-year-old girls. There's always things that are going to come up, whether it's basketball related, whether it's off the court related, right? There are issues that are going to come up. We try to approach them head on. I have talks with our senior leadership a lot, and talk to them about setting the tone and setting the expectation, and of kind of being able to really be someone in that locker room who can help solve conflict. Because a lot of it does occur, when the coaches aren't necessarily, a part of it. So to have good leaders who are able to help with that, I think goes a really, really long way. And then, I tell my girls all the time, and I think it's something that I value a lot of what I've done as a coach, and I hope that the girls feel the same way, is that I think I work really hard to try to build relationships with each of them. And I think in doing so from their freshman year, from their first time with us, being able to sit down and have meetings and talk through things. As I said, at the end of the season, we have these exit meetings. It's mostly for them to be able to just have a conversation with me, to be able to talk through. I tell them what I thought of the season. They tell me what they thought of the season. We may not always see eye to eye, but at least we're able to have a conversation about it, right? And they can vocalize their thoughts to an adult. And I think that's such an important, skill for them, especially a lot of them who want to move forward and play in college. So I think because we're able to build those relationships, when there is conflict throughout the course of their careers, I think that we can sit down and talk about it, and talk through it. And whether that's as a group, if I feel it's something that needs to be approached as a group, whether it's individually, whether it's, something between, a couple of girls that they need to sit down in a room and I'm kind of there as a moderator type thing. We just kind of try to work through that conflict. And again, I think it's something that, for in the future for them, it's about what am I doing to help them, right, as they continue through
life skills.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
And for them to be able to do that, I think is really, really important.
Coach, question for you. It's so interesting, right, to watch the face of women's sports changing. I love it, right?
Yeah.
It's Caitlin Clark effect. It's Sabrina Ionescu. Mm-hmm. It's got to feel good, right?
Absolutely. It is. It really is an amazing thing, and what you see online, and what you see people talking about. Matt and I are experiencing firsthand with our own daughter, who's at this prime age. She's a twin, so they're boy-girl twins, but we are seeing that with her firsthand. She is glued to WNBA games. She is, the other night we had college softball on, and she's watching it and she's talking about, like, if they really like playing softball, what do they do after college? Like, what do they get to do after this? Because she knows the WNBA now, and she knows that they can go. And so those questions are there, right? And they're building. And we're seeing that, like, inspiration, right? Like, in her firsthand. And it's really, really cool to see.
That's good.
And, I that's what I try to get our girls to understand, right? Especially as it's building now worldwide, they can have such an impact in their small community. It's awesome.
That's good.
Yeah. Feel like I saw it. I think it was just today they were talking about on Good Morning America the effect of the WNBA on girls coming up in basketball, and it's really it's amazing. How things have changed in a really short period of time.
Yeah,
it's great to see the arenas crowded. It's
absolutely
great.
And we're fortunate here at Manasquan that we have one of our alum in the WNBA, with Marina Mabry. So, and she had an amazing season this past year, and she was all over the TV. I think that for the girls here locally, there's even more of that connection because they see her there and she comes back, right? And she's at camps and she's, around. And it's, like when Adeline saw, I forget when it was, a couple of months ago, we saw Marina when she was home, and it was like, like, she's got her cards,
That's
you
cool.
know,
Right, yeah,
like
it's cool.
like
Fangirling, it's really
exactly.
cool.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. All right, I think we should want to do the sponsors real quick, Cody.
Sure. Sounds good.
All right, so we'll just break for a sec. We'll come back.
Thing. Sounds good.
All right, we'll let you
Good.
rest
Yeah.
and drink some water for a
Awesome.
second.
Sounds good.
We're going to talk about our sponsors. We have Peter James Floral Couture, located in Ocean Township, can transform your special occasion into a breathtaking experience with their custom floral designs. Specializing in weddings, corporate events, and more, they create unique arrangements tailored to each client's vision. Whether for intimate gatherings or grand celebrations, their team brings creativity, elegance, and personal touches to every project. With an eye for detail and a passion for flowers, they ensure that every bloom enhances the beauty of the event. Let Peter James turn your floral dreams into reality, because every moment deserves to be unforgettable. Chocolate Carousel. April 20th is Easter, and our team at Chocolate Carousel is busy getting ready. We're making all of our handmade chocolate bunnies, both solid and hollow. We have traditional milk white and dark bunnies, and some original favorites like tie-dyed, chocolate crunch, and strawberries and cream bunnies this year. By the way, those are amazing, and they smell really, really good. Plus everything you need to fill your Easter basket, including foiled eggs, marshmallows, and coconut eggs, hand-dipped peeps, chocolate-dipped pretzels and cake pops, novelty chocolates, and of course jelly beans. Trust the professionals at Chocolate Carousel to make this Easter the sweetest ever.
It's interesting. I got to see Peter's work this weekend, and of course, I
Yes.
always have Chocolate Carousel stuff. So
Well, we had
high marks for
we
both.
had my daughter's wedding this
Yes,
weekend.
Oh, wow.
really good.
My daughter Victoria, my youngest, and Peter James, of course,
Flowers.
did the flowers, and they were
beautiful.
amazing. It was spectacular. The room looked beautiful. And Chocolate Carousel did the desserts, and I have to say those were
They were-
pretty darn good
I'm
too.
still eating my take-home cake, so it was nice. I can, at least if I can we go some X's and O's?
Let's do it.
Okay.
So there's two things. Again, coaching to coach. So talk to me a little bit about like off the court, because I think people think you roll into the gym, you have a few practices, and then you play a game. There's so much more that goes into it. Talk to me about like off court preparation, like.
Yeah, absolutely. We in our program we emphasize defense. That is when the first day of tryouts, the girls know there aren't very many basketballs involved. It's a lot of defense and conditioning, and we just put a value on the defensive side of things. Simply because that's just effort, right? That's just effort. And obviously we are very big on how are we going to play teams? What do they do well? What are we lacking that we need to make up for, right? And how can we do that on the defensive side of things? This year, if you saw our team, size wasn't necessarily on our side for almost every game, and I don't think we had a girl taller than 5'10", and a lot of them were about 5'6" or 5'7". So when you're battling against bigger teams,
Yeah, you pressed a lot. You pressed a lot.
we had to find ways, right, that would play into our advantage. Against some teams, you want to speed them up, right? So you want to press, play in the full court, try to turn them over, get some easy transition buckets, things like that. Some teams you want to try to slow down a little bit. We take a lot of pride in our half-court man-to-man defense. We dedicate a significant amount of time, almost every practice, to that. Individual drills, team drills, building, we go from 2-on-2 drills to 3-on-3 drills to 4 to 5-on-5. We just constantly are building what we're looking to do on the defensive side. That's a huge part of what we feel can maintain our success from year to year. Because no matter as your offensive skills change, right? Our team offensively was a little bit different this year than last year. We had a little less of an interior presence. Had more, at almost all times we had 5 pure guards on the court, right? So we had to, change up a couple of things on the offensive side. So as things change year to year on the offensive side, the defense can be fairly consistent, with variations, right? Like I said, we were a little bit smaller. We had to do some different things this year, but the overall defensive idea, right, can stay fairly similar. And we actually changed something that we did defensively. It was probably around 2018 or so, from like, my first set of years, we were playing man-to-man defense a certain way. And then around 2018, I kind of decided I want to change this up a little bit. And so we started playing a little bit differently. And I think it's been really, really good. And again, that's just based on what you have, who's on the floor for you. So, there's a lot of preparation there, a lot of reflection, right? Yeah. And it's funny, I start as, I wouldn't necessarily call myself a expert in hockey, but I enjoy watching it because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, like there are movements in hockey that kind of can be similar in basketball, right?
Yeah, it's true. We can press way down the ice. We can trap half ice.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes you see like a movement and a cut that almost looks like a screen, right? And things like that. So I enjoy, kind of seeing things like that. I've enjoyed watching lacrosse. I don't know lacrosse well, but it's similar, right? I can pick up on things. Oh, they're playing zone right now, right? Oh, that girl's in man, though. Like, you start to, see these things. I feel like as I've grown more and more as a coach, I'm never just, watching a sport,
Right.
Like,
you're overanalyzing.
Exactly.
But also, can't you get ideas, too, from what you see other teams doing, even if it's a different sport?
Yeah.
I told you, I learned to be calm and time out.
Well, there you go.
No more yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
I've never known you to be that calm, Rick, so that's great. Do you have a goal for next season? I know what it is, but of course everybody wants to win. But how do you plan to build on your success and to keep that going for next season?
Yeah, I think next season is going to be similar to this season, where we're graduating a significant part of the girls who are on the floor, for a majority of the game for us. So next season, I think similarly, we're going to have some younger kids who have gotten some experience, but their role is going to be different, and there's going to be a little bit more, on them. So, it's going to be a lot about how are we helping them kind of form their identity, and that's what this year was a lot about. Was like, what's our identity going to be? What is this group's identity going to be? And I think next year, we have to figure that out as well. So I think of all things, it's going to be getting this group. To start as they're filling in new roles, to build their confidence in what they're doing, to get them playing comfortably together and confidently together as a group, and figuring out what their identity is going to be as a group. And then, hopefully if we keep taking the steps in the right direction, and that's what this year was about. You got to keep climbing. You're going to hit obstacles. We had losses, and what are we doing to learn from them? What are we gaining from this loss that we can keep climbing in the right direction? And whether it ends in wins, or just them putting together, a season that they can be proud of. I think that's a really, really important thing.
Yeah.
You had another 1,000-point scorer this year, right? I
We
think
did.
I was at the game where she scored her 1,000 point.
Kaden. Yep.
And year before there was another 1,000 points. Or
Hope. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anyone coming up that's close to?
I don't know if necessarily close.
Okay.
I mean, we have some girls that is definitely something that can be
achieve.
attained. And that just comes from, again, their mindset. Are they putting in? The one thing that people, you kind of see the 1,000 points, and we've been fortunate that, we've had a few, kind of come through over the course that I've been there, some 2,000. But what people don't understand is you see the public result, right, on the court, and those girls all put in so much work, right? And it's a great reward, for them. But I do think that, that kind of goes along with the mindset of the program and the group. It's a nice thing to be able to achieve, but a lot of those girls will say, I'm so glad that I got it, but I just really want to win a championship.
Yeah, sure.
Like
it's a team
that's
effort.
exactly,
It's a team effort.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
you don't get the 1,000 without,
I think a similar accomplishment, right? You had Dylan with the
Dylan,
100.
whose sister plays for you,
Yeah,
right?
Calista.
And by the way, that was my first 100 goal scorer as a coach. So,
Okay, very
100
cool.
points. So it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to celebrate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great recognition. I think the team is all in on it. I think it's a little bit of everybody's, right?
Sure.
To get
And
there.
And they say that
Absolutely.
too, right? That's the great
Absolutely.
thing about team.
Absolutely.
camaraderie, and you've touched on it.
Absolutely. It is. It's the team sport, and while we achieve individual accomplishments, I think we've really stressed that it always comes down to the group, right? And for us to achieve individual accomplishments, you kind of need the people behind you. So I think it's awesome.
That's cool.
And it is a great moment to be able to celebrate.
That's cool.
I mean, I think that's right. That carries through to just life in general too.
Yeah.
I mean, usually when you enjoy a success of some sort, you had people behind you kind of
Yeah, and everybody
help.
else
100%.
celebrates. And it's so nice.
No
to
one
watch.
does it alone.
Yeah, it's so nice to watch the kids all celebrate
Yeah,
together.
it's
really
And,
great.
Yeah.
and Dylan, even in the locker
It's
room,
exciting.
His speech was more like around everybody around him that got him to the
Absolutely.
100, which I think is cool, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not sure that I would have done that at
Yeah.
16 or 17 years old.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
great.
Very
and,
impressive.
And like I said, I think it says a lot about the kids that
Sure,
we have.
absolutely.
And I think it does make it makes coaching at Manasquan, right, pretty special.
So when the season ends, how do you kind of stay in touch with the team, between seasons to keep them growing and moving forward while
Yeah.
you're not having your games and practices?
Yeah. So throughout the year, right, there are times where we can work with the girls, right, and there's times where we can't. I still think that my job and my role is 12 months out of the year. And I think that, as like I said, we'll have individual meetings, and in those I talk about, okay, this past season, what is your vision for next season? And what are the steps you're going to take between now and then, right, to get there? And sometimes that involves me being super involved. You need drills that you want to do. You need skill work things. Sure, here's a bunch of things that you can do. Go to the park, do this, and this. Sometimes it's just, listen, here's what you need to work on. They'll take it and run with it. And I think that, kind of checking in with them, seeing how their progress is going. A lot of times in the spring, my role has a lot more to do with, looking at college discussions, right, and things like that. And then we get to work with them in the summer. That's kind of a time when we can work with them. And that's where we try to do like a lot of skill work. I think that's an important point for us. It's a little bit more laid back and relaxed type atmosphere, and we can kind of work through stuff like that, and I think a big part of it is, again, kind of that leadership, that turnover from year to year in leadership, and in the spring and in the fall, like, it's really on them, right, to kind of help continue what they know our expectations are, right? We can't be there. We can't talk them through it. We can't demand it of them. So it's really kind of on them to do that among each other. And they do some, they play with other teams. They play with their travel teams, and things like that. But when they are able to get together as a group, even if it's just at the park, right? Go and play at the park. Go, just have some fun playing, but make sure that, you're doing the things that you're supposed to do. Kids don't get to do that anymore, right? They don't get to just go to the park and play. And that was like such a big part when I was younger, of playing sports, was like, you just got together with a group of friends,
it's different.
And you went to the park and you played.
Right.
Now it's, you're going to this training and you're signed up for that camp and you're doing this and you're doing that. And not to say that doesn't have value, it definitely does. But every once in a while, they just have to figure it out themselves a little bit,
Yeah.
So we try to emphasize that in the moments when we can. It's a great day out. It's beautiful. Go to the park and play a little bit, right? That type of stuff. So
Yeah, and coach is being a little humble, Lisa. I mean, Manasquan, no, honestly, she is, because it's a program that I use a lot where I want our program to be. You've created a culture.
Thank you.
It is. It's families, right down to the players, and an alum. It's a culture.
yeah, thank you.
so I use that a lot to say,
I
like,
appreciate that.
that's where we want to be.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
something to be really proud of.
Thank
That's not
you.
an easy
Yeah.
thing to do.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Yeah.
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 It definitely takes commitment and time. And
For sure. The girls know, it's my second family, if not an extended part of my first of my family, but we're all in on it. The kids are at.
You spend.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people think it's, like I said, it's practice and games. It's so much.
Absolutely.
It's so much more that
Yeah.
people don't see. But I think it's great where you have young girls that they know they're going to play and want to play at Manasquan. You have alumni that come back.
Yeah.
Players that are bought into the system. Families that are bought in. That's not easy.
Yeah.
it's great. That's a great
absolutely.
culture.
I appreciate it. Thank
What
you.
do you do before a game? What are your rituals? Do you have anything that you do for good luck or traditions before a game?
Yeah, I don't know if I have any. Yeah, I don't know if I have any specifically. I actually hate that build up before the game. I do. I like that time of like where you're just kind of killing time, right? And you're just kind of waiting, especially on a big night.
Sure.
Like, I think that it's funny. I probably earlier in my career, I probably had a little bit more of a routine, but now it's, at the end of the school day, right? It all depends based on what time the game is, where we're going, right? Are we taking a bus, right? The home game, a lot of times it involves like getting my own kids prepared for whatever they have going on, and then making sure they have their Manasquan gear to come to the game, after whatever it is. But I do like to take a little time, like to myself for, a little bit of time, just kind of think through what we've got going on, where we're at. Sometimes I'll sit in my office and do that. Sometimes it'll just be kind of like while I'm getting ready at home type thing. Just kind of think through like the situation, heading into the night, and what things could occur, what is our thought process if that's going to be the case, but no crazy traditions or
I don't know.
superstitions.
I would tell you though.
What is yours? Because you must have one.
Well, no,
I
here's what
saw
I'm
it in your
jealous.
face.
Here's what
Yeah.
I'm jealous about though. Basketball is different than ice hockey. Ice is expensive, so we national anthem in play. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
They call the names of all the players. They're fancy handshaking,
Right,
they're
right.
bobbing and weaving. So there's a lot that goes into like
Yeah.
there's a whole like thing that everyone has something that they do. Which
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's a home game and there's nothing going on in the gym, like I like to just kind of be in the gym, right? A little bit, kind of take it in type thing. If some of our girls show up early to shoot, like, we'll, I like rebounding for them, like that type of stuff. So there is that like time to build up a little bit.
I still can't. I honestly, my wife knows. I still can't eat. I won't eat before a game because I still get that even as a coach. So I don't eat. But if we win, I will wear the same thing.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that
Right.
is
Coach Bilodeau on the boys' side has that superstition
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah.
Once he,
yeah. Then I won't change.
Yeah, but I feel like
won't change.
fans do that even more so, right? Fans they're
be
watching a
into
game,
it,
something
and
goes
then
well, then that's
keep doing the
I
same
have to
thing.
sit in the same spot. I have
Yeah.
to do the same thing.
Yeah,
So
I am actually more nervous as a fan than I am
Oh, really?
like well,
Well, because you're thinking, I guess,
Well,
more as a
control
coach.
maybe.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, you're thinking as a
Yeah,
coach. You're always
yeah.
thinking.
But my favorite moment is like I always love, especially like building up to like a big game. I love the national anthem moment. Like it's just kind of that moment where like you're standing there, you're on the court, like it's game time, you're ready to go. Like I stay super focused,
Yeah, I like it
right?
in the hockey game
yeah,
as well.
right. Like it's just like you're in that moment, like and you see it in like the Super Bowl, right? And
Yeah.
like guys are super
that pride.
emotional during it. Like it's just that moment. There's
Sure.
something
Yeah, it's a
about
good
it,
moment.
you
Yeah, it's a
know, leading into the game.
it's very interesting. I feel very.
coach
I feel
talk. Like,
very.
all coaches
Yeah,
have,
no,
like,
I.
these things,
I
you know?
feel very inspired. I did play basketball one season when I was younger, but I don't think we should talk a lot about it. It didn't go real well. What do you want to leave us with? What do you want us to know?
I don't know. I truly, and I say it all the time, and you can probably attest to it a little bit. Manasquan is such a special place to coach. I know people kind of see it from the outside a little bit, but if there was a moment for that, it was absolutely, last Sunday when both the boys and the girls teams were able to win. And it wasn't so much about the win, right? Yes, totally awesome. The fact that both teams got to do it. It was the coming home part. That was just
in our town. It's
makes it amazing. And that is just a great moment, I think. When you come home, you have the bus, you have the fire truck parade, you're going through Main Street. There's kids out this window waving their Manasquan stuff.
Everybody's out.
Elderly couple on this side. There's people. I remember last year it was like raining a little bit, and we kind of go down Main Street and it's crowded and everybody's cheering, and then you take the route along the beach, which in the middle of the winter is a little bit more deserted, right? But we took the turn and we're coming down and it's raining on the bus, and there's a woman, I don't know if there's the Manasquan the warrior pride flags, and she's standing out on the street waving the flag as we're going by, and it was a really emotional moment because it was this is what it's all about.
Right.
It's about this town, it's about this community, and I've said that from the beginning of coaching here, the administration that we've had, the parents, the town, the families. It really, really is a special place, and I'm just lucky that I get to do it here.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very, the town is super supportive, and it's our administration. I mean, I'm not in the school, you are. I'm not, but the administration is super supportive. The families are super supportive. I mean, it is. It's a great town to coach in.
Yeah.
It's a
really
fun town
is.
to coach
It
in.
is. It is.
Except there's pressure. I'm sure you get more pressure than I do. When you go out in the town and people are are you going to win this week? Or are you going to, when we were making the run to the States last year, you try to hide.
Yeah.
You have to stay home.
Yeah.
You have to stay home a little bit. That can be part of your ritual.
Yeah. Pressure is a little bit of a privilege,
Yeah, for
right?
sure,
So,
for sure.
it means you're doing something right.
Well,
So,
congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
I feel very inspired.
Thank you.
This was fun.
It was really fun.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me, too. This was fun.
I loved having both of you here today.
Thank you
It's
for
great to see
having
you.
me.
The real Coach K.
Yeah.
The real Coach K. Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank
much
you
for
very
coming.
much. Thank you.
Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we're going to see you real soon. Have a good night.